Hi, I'm Steph and I review almost everything. Today I want to talk to you about a book. It's called The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. But first, thanks for watching, liking, commenting, all of that good stuff. I'm just getting started, so I appreciate it more than you know. So The Woman in Cabin 10, I listened to this as an audiobook. I did get the book at the library so that we could see the cover. But I listened to it on the Libby app, which is how I access a lot of books. If you don't know about the Libby app, you should find out because it's really cool. So this book is narrated by the protagonist, whose name is Laura Blacklock. She goes by Lo. She's a journalist for a travel magazine, and she's preparing to leave on this luxury cruise to Scandinavia that she gets to cover for the magazine because her boss is pregnant and not able to go. So it's this big career opportunity for her. Lo is British and she has an American boyfriend, and the narrator of the audiobook does a pretty good job with his accent, though sometimes it was just a little bit over the top as she tried for like a Brooklyn or Boston specific type of sound. I honestly can't remember which, but who am I to criticize? My British accent isn't perfect, so it's good enough. So just before her trip, someone breaks into Lo's apartment in the night while she's there. She had come home late and drunk, which apparently is a big part of what she does. So she's really traumatized. She actually is injured in the incident, which leaves her kind of shaken up. So to cope, she drinks heavily on top of her prescription anxiety medication, which apparently she does even when she's not traumatized. Like, she just drinks a lot and she takes anxiety meds. So she's really anxious, and apparently she has like this history of anxiety. And while, like, that's not a problem for a character to have, that can be a really interesting aspect of a fictional character. But these seem to be Lo's primary characteristics, that she's anxious and that she drinks too much. She also frequently describes how painful something is. Like, if someone grabs her arm to keep her from falling, she'll complain in the narration about like how much it hurt, or like if something pushes against her, she's complaining about how painful it was. So she kind of complains a lot. She's always exhausted, drunk, claustrophobic, or frustrated because no one's taking her seriously. And these aspects of her character personality kind of get a little bit repetitive. So she makes it on the ship. She's on the boat. And she's preparing for the first night's formal dinner, and she realizes she doesn't have her mascara because it was in her handbag that the burglar stole. So she goes to the next door cabin, which is number 10, and she knocks, and she finds a hassled-looking girl with dark hair who gives her a mascara and tells her just to keep it and just wants to get rid of her. So the ship is underway, it's crossing the ocean, and Lo drinks too much. She hasn't slept well in many nights, and she's awakened in the night by what she thinks was a scream, and followed by like a heavy, loud splash that she takes to be a body being pushed overboard. So she calls for help, and the ship's investigator is sent to question her about what she witnessed. And he tells her that cabin 10 is empty. No one is staying there. No one, like the person who was supposed to have that cabin canceled, and that cabin is empty. So he actually takes her over there and shows her that the cabin is empty. So they spend the next day talking to the crew and the staff and even some of the other passengers. And she's considering everyone, but she can't identify the girl that she saw in cabin 10. She can't find her on board. So the mystery builds, and Lo actually gets a few warnings to back off, which she ignores, of course, because she's the protagonist of a mystery. So, that's what you do. She has no Wi-Fi or cell service, so she can't contact her boyfriend or her parents or her friends or police, and the tension builds. So this is a pretty good mystery. I didn't actually figure out the ending until Lo figured it out and revealed it to the reader. The story moves along at a reasonable pace overall. I could do with a little bit less whining from the protagonist. Lo does complain a lot. The best thing about the book is the setting on the cruise ship at sea with no escape and no contact with the outside world. And Lo's convinced there's a killer on board, and no one in authority on the ship believes her. And she can't figure out what happened to the girl that she saw in cabin 10. So there's no one on board that's unaccounted for. So there's no reason that anyone would think that someone had been killed. So was it the girl who went overboard in the night? It's a fairly compelling read. It's not the best mystery ever, but I was interested in seeing how it played out. I'm going to read another Ruth Ware book and just see if I like it better. Sometimes an author is a little hit or miss, and sometimes they're just solidly entertaining. So as for this one, I would probably give it like a fair rating. I don't really have a rating system, but like some sections seem to drag a little bit, and I found myself thinking, okay, we've got the point, let's move on. For example, there's like page after page of Lo and the security guy talking to the crew and the staff. Like, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that the girl wouldn't be found. But we get to witness a lot of these interrogations, which I felt like was maybe just a little bit too much. And other sections did move along more briskly, which is good. The warnings that she receives are a little bit hokey. Like, one is a message written in steam on a mirror. And a lot of things happen when Lo is asleep, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like, again and again, things happen while she's asleep. And sometimes sometimes she just does dumb things. Like, for example, the mascara is her one piece of evidence that the girl exists and that she gave her this mascara. She even shows it to the security guard, or investigator, whatever he is. But she leaves it unattended in her cabin, knowing that maids and probably others have access to her room. And so I felt like that was kind of just a dumb thing. Like, if you have something that's the most important key thing that shows what you're trying to convince people is true, is possible, you hold on to that, but it's okay. So the book isn't really long. It's not terribly difficult to get into. If you want some light reading, this is a good one. There is some foul language in it, a lot of F-bombs, so be aware if you're sensitive to that. I don't know why every book I read anymore has so much cussing. Like, it makes me wonder if that's really how people outside of the little bubble that I live in talk. Like, maybe they just really talk like that. But I did enjoy it overall. I probably won't read it again. I'm not going to buy a copy of it, but it was okay. Online reviews of this book are kind of all over the place. Some people love it, some people hate it. So I guess it depends on how particular you are about your murder mysteries, and whether this is to your taste or not. So again, thanks for watching. Maybe think about subscribing. Click like, give me a comment, maybe tell me which Ruth Ware book to read next, and we'll see if maybe I can find one of hers that I like better. And thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day.